greetings from our channel again. On September 27, 2024, Maggie Smith, an iconic figure in the film industry who gave us the sardonic and unyielding Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter and the aristocratic Countess of Grantham in Downton Abbey, died at the age of 89, leaving millions of fans worldwide in sadness. However, there is a path full of struggles that few people are aware of that lies behind the genius of these great performances. A strong woman who overcame a marriage breakdown, severe disagreements with coworkers, and an unanticipated fight with cancer in her latter years. Maggie Smith never let herself give up, even though she had fallen and lost hope. She got up and kept acting despite the fact that chemotherapy was causing her hair to fall out, and created a space of renewal on stage. Maggie Smith, a symbol of achievement but also a representation of pain and adversity, was a complex person behind the piercing eyes on television. To show your sympathy to Maggie Smith and hashtag 039's loved ones, please leave a comment with the words and quote, "Reppy Maggie Smith," end quote. You can also join us as we reflect on her turbulent life, discovering the hidden facets and unspoken secrets of a life that appeared to be ideal but was actually full of difficulties and storms. Early life and career beginnings. Maggie Smith was born in Ilford, Essex, England, on December 28, 1934. Her full name is Margaret Natalie Smith. Her father, Nathaniel Smith, was a public health pathologist from Newcastle upon Tyne who worked at the University of Oxford, and her mother, Margaret Hutton, was a Scottish secretary from Glasgow. When Maggie was just 4 years old, the Smith family relocated to Oxford, a move that had a significant impact on her life and creative path. Maggie was raised in a family with a strong educational and intellectual heritage, but she was always more interested in the spotlight than in the classroom. She went to Oxford High School. However, she left school at the age of 16 to pursue the arts at the Oxford Playhouse because she was so passionate about performing. Here, she received instruction from seasoned artists, setting the groundwork for her initial career steps. In addition to learning acting techniques, Maggie gained perseverance, discipline, a strong passion for her work, and the ability to handle the demands of stage life. Maggie made her stage debut at the Oxford Playhouse, where she immediately demonstrated her skills and won accolades from reviewers. Her professional theatrical debut came in 1952 when she played the role of Viola in Shakespeare and hashtag 039's Twelfth Night, showcasing her brilliance and providing her with other opportunities going forward. As Maggie and hashtag 039's adventure progressed, she made her Broadway debut in the comedy New Faces of 1956. In addition to helping her establish a reputation on Broadway, this performance increased her prominence in the movie business. Maggie Smith debuted in the movie Child in the House the same year. Even though it was a little and uncredited role, it was a significant start for her in the film industry, opening the door to bigger roles and, eventually, her meeting and working with one of the biggest names in British cinema, Laurence Olivier. Maggie and hashtag 039's potential was immediately apparent to Olivier, who was praised as one of the greatest actors of all time, and he invited her to join his theater group. But there were disagreements throughout their relationship. Conflicts were unavoidable because both were strong-willed, extremely talented, and perfectionists. During the 1965 staging of Othello, Olivier unintentionally gave Maggie a harsh smack on stage, leaving her astonished. This episode is among the most unforgettable tales of their partnership. Maggie, however, kept on performing without letting the audience know. With perseverance and hard work, Maggie Smith overcame early obstacles to establish herself as a reputable actor. Significant accomplishments and honors. Following her difficult beginnings on theater and screen, Maggie Smith persisted in her pursuit of artistic excellence. She became one of the most renowned actors in the world as a result of her efforts, which were amply rewarded with a plethora of major prizes and distinctions during her career. Maggie Smith is among the few artists who have received nearly all of the major honors in theater, cinema, and television. Her performance in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie earned her the 1969 Oscar for Best Actress. She played a teacher in this movie with audacious teaching strategies and strong morals, a part that exemplified Maggie and hashtag 039's multifaceted, gentle yet aggressive performance. This honor not only elevated her to the status of exceptional actors but also marked the beginning of a prosperous phase in her cinematic career. Maggie and #039's second Oscar came in 1978, 9 years later. This time for California Suite and #039's Best Supporting Actress. As she transitioned from the tragic role of Miss Jean Brodie in her prime to a witty and smart performance in Neil Simon and #039's comedy, her role showcased her versatility. Maggie and #039's capacity to change into a variety of roles, from ones with deep psychological complexity to ones with significant entertainment value, was demonstrated by this success. Maggie Smith left a lasting impression on theater and television in addition to her success on the big screen. She received 5 BAFTA awards, one of the most coveted accolades in the British film industry, over her career. Her performances in A Private Function, 1984, A Room with a View, 1985, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, 1987, and The Lonely Passion of Judith Hearn, 1985, are among these honors. Every job showcased a distinct facet of her acting ability, ranging from nuance and sensitivity to humorous and meaningful moments. Through the renowned television series Downton Abbey, Maggie Smith enthralled viewers on the small screen. Violet Crawley, the Dowager Countess of Grantham, was a noble and witty role that she played. She received 3 Emmy Awards for this performance: 2011, 2012, and 2012. 2016, confirming her exceptional ability to blend strength with distinct humor. Maggie made a lasting impression on audiences by portraying Violet Crawley as a figure who made the audience feel warm and familiar. On stage, Maggie Smith was as impressive. Her performance in the play earned her a Tony Award, Broadway and #039's top prize. The fact that the role was written especially for her shows how much the art world respected and valued Maggie. She was more than just an actor on stage, she was an artist who controlled the stage and engaged the audience with sincere passion and feeling. Maggie Smith received major distinctions from the British royal family in addition to prizes for her services to the arts. She received the prestigious title of Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire, or DBE, in 1990. This distinction is given to people who have significantly impacted the nation. Her outstanding and unwavering contributions to British arts were further recognized in 2014 when she was named a Companion of Honor. The public and #039's love for Maggie Smith because of her famous roles may have been even more significant than the accolades and awards she received. Maggie attracted young audiences worldwide in her role as Professor Minerva McGonagall in the Harry Potter series. Professor McGonagall became one of the most adored figures in the wizarding world thanks to her keen eyes and firm but kind voice. Her generous heart and eagerness to defend her kids won her admirers over in addition to her severe manner. Millions of spectators admired her for her role as Crawley in Downton Abbey. In addition to being a strong countess, Violet was a perceptive, funny, and intellectual grandma. Maggie brought this character to life, giving Violet Crawley a lively, strong, yet approachable personality. When one considers Maggie Smith and #039's accomplishments, it becomes evident that she was more than just a gifted artist who committed her life to the arts. Because she transformed each role into an iconic one and each appearance into a memorable impression, she is consistently recognized as one of the finest actors of all time. A life of commitment, hard work, and unrelenting inventiveness lies behind the accolades and trophies, which are only the outward manifestation of achievement. Maggie Smith had turbulent romances in addition to her famous career and her proud, prestigious performances that moved millions of people. Her tale of Sir Robert Stevens and Beverly Cross can move anybody who hears it. Before that chapter started, Maggie and #039's life changed when she found her real love, dramatist Beverly Cross. Sir Robert Stevens and #039, drinking and adultery caused serious problems in their first marriage. Maggie first encountered Beverly Cross on the steps of the University of Oxford and #039's Ashmolean Museum when she was barely 18 years old. He was a charming, sophisticated playwright who was a little older. Maggie fell in love with the young actress right away, and Beverly also fell in love with her. Soon after, despite not yet being divorced from his wife, he proposed to Maggie. Beverly was unable to fully commit to Maggie because of his marital ties, but he begged her to hold off until his divorce was finalized, and she complied. But as Maggie was waiting for Beverly, she met Robert Stevens, and that and #039's when her life changed. Beginning when Beverly persuaded Maggie to join the National Theatre, where she met Robert, their romance was brief but intense. Her connection with Beverly ended in silence after that. And the new man in her life was Robert. Even though Robert had not yet finalized his divorce from his second wife, his romanticism and charm drew her into a maelstrom of love, and the two were married in 1967. Robert Stevens and Maggie and #039's marriage was and #039's always ideal. Maggie was expecting their first kid before they were legally married. And the pair needed to figure out how to keep this information out of the hands of the curious media. They intended for Maggie to take a leave of absence until she gave birth, and they were ready to have a buddy who worked as a film critic write an empathetic piece outlining the circumstances in case anyone had any suspicions. This ingenious strategy allowed them to get married in peace and prevented their child from making the news. Maggie Smith thought their marriage was going well in the early years. Formerly seen as Laurence Olivier and #039's successor, Robert Stevens was a gifted and affable actor. Many people enjoyed their performances, and the two became known as the "golden couple" of British theatre. However, the truth was very different beneath the stage lights. Robert and #039's career started to wane by the late 1970s, which sent him into a downward cycle of drinking and having affairs. He once tried suicide while starring in Sherlock Holmes and #039's private life because he was so desperate. Maggie revealed that she was unable to comprehend why Robert had changed so much at that time and felt helpless to remedy the situation. Their connection deteriorated over time. "We had 2 young children," Maggie remembered. "He was not understanding, and I was not able to comprehend either. Things kept getting worse. And Maggie finally realized she had to go by 1973. "This cannot continue," I said. "No, it can and #039's, he added. Though it seemed inevitable for both of them, it was a bitter finish. Maggie chuckled when she thought back on those times, not because it was humorous, but because it was her way of seeing things differently, as though she were seeing her own life play out in front of an audience. Maggie was finally able to go back to Beverly Cross, the man she had always loved, after divorcing Robert. After getting married in 1975, Maggie spent the following 5 years working in Ontario, Canada, where they started a new life. Beverly took on the role of father to raise Chris and Toby Stevens after Robert Stevens vanished entirely from their sons and #039 life. For 23 years, Beverly, whom she referred to as a "wonderful man," provided her with a tranquil and affectionate existence. Maggie was left feeling incredibly alone after Beverly tragically died of heart illness in 1998. Maggie and #039's anguish was evident when she talked about this loss. "I and #039 am still really missing him. It and #039's amusing. It doesn't and #039's get better, despite what people claim. It simply changes." The man of Maggie and #039's life was someone she could never forget. She gave the straightforward response, "Definitely not, never," when asked if she ever wanted to fall in love again. In addition to being her love, Beverly Cross was her pillar of support. Maggie has attempted to move on since his death, but her heart will always be missing a significant component. Maggie Smith maintained her fortitude in the face of hardships and losses. She discovered how to accept, face, and move on from her painful marriage to Robert Stevens to her enduring love with Beverly Cross. Loss is inevitable, but the memories of love and the significant others in her life never left her heart, supporting her through every hardship till the end of her life. Following the hardships of her marriage, including the devastating death of her cherished husband, Beverly Cross, Maggie Smith was confronted with yet another difficult obstacle: breast cancer. She was diagnosed while filming the last Harry Potter films in 2008, when she was in her twilight years. In addition to the fact that her health was failing, the news was upsetting since she needed to play Professor Minerva McGonagall, a character that people all over the world adored. From the breakdown of her first marriage with Robert Stevens to the passing of the person she loved most, Maggie and #039's life had been filled with many setbacks and difficulties. However, she had to confront the struggle of cancer alone, without the support of Beverly Cross. Maggie suffered from terrible side effects from several rounds of chemotherapy, which weakened her and led her to lose all of her hair. She previously admitted that she had lost all motivation due to the sickness and was unsure if she could carry on performing. "I was so unsure. I hadn't #039 worked on stage for a long time, and now I and #039 am scared to go back there," end quote, she said. This revealed the confusion and fear, even in someone as resilient as Maggie. Despite facing health and psychological challenges, Maggie did not allow her illness to stop her from completing her role. It wasn't #039 just a responsibility she felt toward her audience. It was also a reminder of the love she always had for her craft. She stood in front of the camera, fully embodying the character of Professor McGonagall, the stern yet deeply caring teacher. To conceal her hair loss from chemotherapy, Maggie wore a wig while filming Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince and the final installment of the series. She even had to hold on to railings for balance because her health was so fragile, yet not once did she let the audience see her fatigue. Maggie and #039's work ethic and courage moved and inspired many. The actors and crew expressed their admiration for the determination and strength she displayed even in her most difficult moments, facing both the loss of her loved ones and the battle with illness. By overcoming her pain and physical hardships, she used her role to bring hope and strength to others, continuing to give audiences magical moments on screen. After suffering irreplaceable losses, acting became the source of strength that helped her stay grounded and shine until the very last moments of her life. Throughout her career, Maggie Smith was fortunate to find comfort in a cherished friendship with actress Judi Dench. Maggie Smith and Judi Dench first met when they were both young members of the Old Vic Theatre, a place that has trained many talents of British theatre. From those early days on stage to their rise to career heights, Maggie and Judi became close friends, always standing by and supporting each other. They not only shared a passion for the arts, but also inspired each other throughout their long journey. Maggie once mentioned that, although the two were known for their professionalism and seriousness, whenever they were together, they often laughed so hard it was difficult to keep a straight face in front of the camera. One of the clearest testaments to Maggie and Judi and #039's friendship was the documentary Tea with the Dames, 2018. In this film, Maggie and Judi, along with two other legendary actresses, Eileen Atkins and Joan Plowright, sat down together to share about their lives and careers. The moments of conversation, sharing ups and downs, humor and beautiful memories, gave audiences a closer and more authentic view of their friendship. Though the film was called Tea with the Dames, it was the stories and laughter of these actresses that were the real highlight, making the documentary so captivating. The friendship between Maggie and Judi in this film was not just about sharing between friends but also about the bond of artists who had been through so many of life and #039's ups and downs together. The relationship between Maggie and Judi was further highlighted through the Times and #039. Judi Dench impersonated Maggie Smith on television. One of the most entertaining instances was when Ian McKellen, another friend of Maggie and #039's, appeared on Saturday Night Live and impersonated her in a humorous skit. Judi Dench also joked around by mimicking Maggie on television, which always made Maggie feel both embarrassed and amused when recalling it. She once shared, "I and #039 am afraid to go see Ian McKellen and #039's one-man shows because I and #039 am scared he and #039 LL impersonate me again." And when she said that, the audience could feel the genuine affection she held for her close friends. The friendship between Maggie Smith and Judi Dench was a testament to the understanding and enduring bond between two great artists of their time. It was not merely a relationship between colleagues, but a deep connection between friends who had walked through life and #039's highs and lows together. For Maggie and Judi, supporting and accompanying each other over the decades helped them overcome challenges and continue to shine, becoming symbols of resilience and talent in the world of art. Lesser-known roles and late career. Maggie Smith is not only known for her iconic roles that the world recognizes, but also for the lesser-known roles that brought her great emotion and fulfillment in her acting career. For Maggie, acting was not just an art, but a journey of self-discovery, exploring complex characters and challenging her abilities. Among her roles, she always particularly cherished her stage characters, where she could fully express her depth. Roles such as Viola in Twelfth Night, Desdemona in Othello, and Lettice in Lettice and Lovage not only required effort, but also allowed Maggie to find a personal connection with each character. These roles brought her true satisfaction, giving her the opportunity to challenge and explore the complexities of acting, something that her well-known screen roles could rarely offer. Maggie and #039's attitude towards major roles like Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter and Violet Crawley in Downton Abbey was quite unique. Although these two roles made her an icon for many generations of audiences, Maggie candidly shared that they didn't and #039 truly bring her the sense of fulfillment that her stage roles did. She felt that portraying complex characters with deep psychological layers was always what she desired and found most exciting. It and #039's not what you call real satisfaction, end quote, she once said about her screen roles. Maggie, however, continued to see the importance of these cherished responsibilities. When she portrayed Professor McGonagall, she was especially grateful for the love from fans and the happiness of her grandkids. This demonstrates that for her, performing was a way to make people happy, especially her loved ones, in addition to pursuing personal pleasure. In both theater and cinema, Maggie Smith made a significant impact. While her appearances on the small screen made her an audience legend, her lesser-known roles on stage gave her moments of difficulty and exaltation. Maggie demonstrated through every part, no matter how great or small, that her love and commitment to the arts were the boundless sources of energy that enabled her to overcome all obstacles and keep shining. Maggie Smith remained a star on stage and television long after she reached the age at which most actors started to consider retirement. She saw acting as more than simply a job, it was an essential aspect of her life and a source of happiness and purpose. Maggie remained resilient at the age of 89, when many of her peers had retired, consistently taking on new projects, showcasing her enthusiasm and deep love of the arts. Maggie previously admitted that the stresses and tribulations of the acting profession were not as frightening to her as not working. It and #039's scary. When you and #039 not working. But when you and #039 working, you also don and #039 know if you and #039 have the strength to get through each day, end quote, she said. This revealed her deep love for her profession. A love that never diminished, even when health and age made everything more difficult. For Maggie, the stage and screen were not only where she showcased her talent, but also where she continued to live and experience life to the fullest. Maggie and #039's relentless work ethic and commitment to her craft made her a role model not only for younger generations of actors, but also for her contemporaries. She continually proved that age is not a barrier to continuing to contribute and pursue one and #039's passion. Her recent roles in The Lady in the Van, Downton Abbey, and The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel are the clearest evidence of her indomitable spirit. Maggie has inspired many generations of actors, showing that an acting career has no age limit if you truly love what you do, but a vibrant journey to explore and convey emotions to others. She demonstrated that regardless of age, passion, and dedication to the arts, remain a guiding light and the motivation to keep moving forward. Maggie Smith, with her perseverance and devotion, has left an indelible mark on audiences and in the history of the arts as a symbol of resilience and an everlasting love for her craft. Maggie Smith and #039's legacy is not only built through her famous roles, but also through the influence and inspiration she left behind. Her role as Professor Minerva McGonagall in the Harry Potter series and Violet Crawley, the Dowager Countess of Grantham in Downton Abbey, became iconic in popular culture, shaping Maggie and #039's image in the hearts of many generations of audiences. With these characters, Maggie did more than just act. She conveyed depth, wisdom and strength, bringing them to life in a relatable and powerful way. One of the most remarkable aspects is the heartfelt tributes from her colleagues after her passing. Hugh Bonneville, her co-star in Downton Abbey, described Maggie as a true legend, an artist with remarkable sharpness and steadfast spirit. Daniel Radcliffe, who starred alongside her in Harry Potter, shared that she was a teacher both on and off the screen, always supporting and inspiring young actors. These tributes not only honored Maggie and #039's talent, but also showed the profound impact she had on those who worked with her. For the public, Maggie Smith became a part of shared memory, a symbol not only of talent, but also of perseverance and dedication. Her roles, whether on stage or screen, provided lessons in strength, compassion, and an unyielding spirit. She inspired not only through the characters she portrayed, but also through her own life, overcoming challenges and continuing to shine brightly. Maggie and #039's contributions to the arts earned her the honor of being considered a national treasure. Her commitment to acting and her relentless work ethic have become role models for new generations. She not only contributed to the development of the film and theater industries, but also inspired young actors on how to face challenges and find joy in every role. From the theater stage to film, from famous characters to lesser-known roles, Maggie Smith left an indelible mark, not just with her talent but also with her heart and resilient spirit. Maggie and #039's legacy will forever live in the hearts of her fans, a symbol of artistry and the power to rise above adversity. Let us all share our heartfelt messages in the comments section to remember Dame Maggie Smith, who devoted her entire life to the arts, a truly irreplaceable icon on stage and screen for over 7 decades. If my story has provided you with useful information, don't and #039's forget to share this video with your friends who also love Maggie Smith as much as you do. And don't and #039's forget to follow our channel so you won't and #039's miss out on other fascinating stories about the timeless Hollywood icons you admire. See you in the next video. See you in the next.